Hello, hello. I want to get real with you about something we all face from time to time. Those days when you just don't feel like doing anything.
Those days when I'm tired or worn out or just basically sick of the grind.
Now, I know some people might think I'm super disciplined all the time, and don't get me wrong, I've built up some pretty solid habits over the past couple of years. I mean, I haven't missed a day of training in almost 5 years, and I'm currently on I want to say close to a 1400 day streak on Anki, which is a spaced repetition like flashcard app that helps me learn and retain what I'm learning. But trust me, I wasn't always this way. Back in college, I almost failed several times because I was so lazy and undisciplined. I was that guy who would sleep in until noon and play video games and go drinking and do all the things that I was the epitome of the bad student. My roommate jokingly called me Van Wilder because he was like, "You're never going to graduate." And the thing is, discipline isn't a one and done kind of deal. Even the most driven people, take David Goggins for example, have to put in the work every single day to stay on track.
They don't know me, son. Get it. 18. They don't know me, son. Get it. 19. They don't know me, son. Yeah. 20. You got some more in you. 21. Yeah.
One thing I love about Goggins is it almost sounds like he has to become Goggins every morning. You know, he talks about sometimes staring at his running shoes for 30 minutes or more. And that's Goggins, the guy who's the definition of discipline and toughness.
Hey there. How you doing?
I'm back, motherfucker. I'm back.
So, it's a constant process. And over the past couple of years, I've developed this toolkit of strategies that I use on those tough days. And if I'm being honest, those days come far more often than I'd like to admit. For me, one of the most powerful tools is surrounding myself with inspiration. So if I look around my house, there are all these little reminders of things of my reasons why I'm pushing so hard. So I have pictures that inspire me, pictures of friends and family who motivate me to keep moving forward. I have this playlist of music and audiobooks that I turn to whenever I need a kick in the pants. Things like Can't Hurt Me by Goggins, which I've literally read over 40 times. Gates of Fire by Stephen Pressfield, Musashi by Eiji Yoshikawa, and a bunch of... I've listened to this person called Akira the Don. I think I've been in his top 0.1% of listeners for the past 3 years, maybe 4 years. I can't remember anymore, but he essentially remixes people like Jocko Willink, David Goggins, Naval Ravikant, and overlays their excerpts from things they've said and puts a electro beat over it. And it's pretty catchy, and it reminds me. It's a really good way for me to ground myself as I'm doing things. Just that repetition helps remind me of the values and virtues that I really want to embody in my life. I also loved Mike Posner's album Keep Going, which was the album he recorded for his big walk across America that I think took him 9 or more months. Anyways, it was super inspirational. The music in there is really awesome. I highly recommend checking it out. Another thing I do is I revisit my personal mission statement and dream eulogy all the time. So it's a way of reminding myself why I'm doing all of this in the first place. And my dream eulogy is essentially what I hope people will say about me on the day of my death if I've become the person that I really want to be. if everything goes well. And when it comes to those daunting tasks, I've learned to break them down into smaller, more manageable steps. So if I'm supposed to run 5 miles, but I'm really not feeling it, I'll tell myself to just run 1 mile. Or if I need to spend an hour on a project, I'll start with just 5 minutes. More often than not, once I get started, I find the momentum to keep going. I also have this concept of no 0 days, which has been a game changer for me. It's all about putting something on the board every single day, no matter how small, to move you towards your goal. And I actually saw that on Reddit first, on a subreddit called Stay Motivated. I think it must have been 10 years ago, but I didn't really manage to incorporate it into my life until many years later. Accountability buddies have been another key part of my toolkit. I set up stakes and conditions with my friends to keep myself on track. The key is to make the consequences of falling short really unappealing, like having to donate to a cause I don't support or do something I don't want to, like post an embarrassing selfie. I've also found it helpful to have some if-then rules in place for those really tough stretches. So an if-then rule is essentially, it comes from computer programming, where when some condition happens, then you have to do something. So if my alarm rings, then I have to jump out of bed within 5 seconds. Or if I turn on the cold shower, then I have to walk under it within 2 seconds. So one of my rules is if I'm feeling burned out for more than 2 days in a row, I'll give myself permission to take it easy on the second day, just to avoid totally losing steam. So often, if I've said I'm going to run, 5 or 10 miles, then I'll do that. And then if the next day I really still don't want to do my next workout, then I might say, okay, I'm just going to do, a fewer number of push-ups or pull-ups or whatever is on the docket for the day. So at the end of the day, though, the most important thing is just showing up and making an honest effort day in and day out. It's about measuring your progress in millimeters, not miles, because eventually those millimeters become miles. And I think quite often we expect to do the big thing in one go and, to level up in 30 days, to transform our bodies in 90 days, to do all these really crazy things. And when you don't hit those targets, it's a recipe for burnout. And I think what I've really come to understand is that this journey of self-improvement is a lifetime journey. So putting these high pressure constraints can be really helpful occasionally, but if you index too heavily on those constraints, it can completely kill your progress. And, if that's the reason you don't work out for the rest of your life, then it's really counterproductive. So the truth is, even our heroes and role models aren't crushing it 24/7. And what sets them apart is this commitment to keep pushing forward even when it's hard. One thing I really loved about David Goggins' latest book, Never Finished, is, he wrote it after he became famous for being one of the toughest people alive. And in it, he talks about this inner battle he had with himself on his decision to run a really hard race. And, this is 2017. He's already been Goggins for a long time, decades. And even he's like looking himself in the mirror and remembering the suffering and being like, I don't want to do it anymore. So I think it's important to remember that we're all just human, and this inner battle occurs within every single one of us. So if you're having one of those days where everything feels like a struggle, just remember, you're not alone and you're not failing. Just focus on taking that next tiny step forward. I hope this helps, even just a little bit. And if anything, I hope it reminds you that we're all in this together, just doing our best to get a little bit better each day. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.